Inescapably foreign. I'm Nolan Yuma, and this is the show for expats, nomads, third culture kids, refugees, or anyone else that feels inescapably foreign. And today I'm here with Monica Albini. Monica was born and raised in Italy. Half her family is from the Czech Republic, and she's been living in Spain. So she studied translation and interpreting for her bachelor degree in Switzerland and did her master's degree in international communication tourism in Italy. And now she's working as a research scholar for the University of Torino, but we'll get into that a little bit later. First off, Monica, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, thank you. Hope you too as well.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. This is our first time meeting, so I'm excited to get to know you.
Same.
All right. So, Monica, what are you doing for your research right now, or what do you want to do for your research?
Right now, I'm working on this software, this new platform of OpenAI, which is called Chat GPT, which is now for free, so everyone can have an account there. And well, it's a new technology. It's a new artificial intelligence that may change then during the future because it may have the new costs in the future. But it's really interesting to see how it understands actually what you want, what you're looking for, exactly as Google, for example. So if you have any kind of doubts, questions, and you want to do any kind of request, then you can ask equally Google and, for example, ChatGPT. And it works with different languages. It works with different topics. So, for example, if you have questions about how to use Excel, how to use a particular formula in Excel, it can help you. If you have, if you want to help with, for example, an email that you need a formal email for your boss for this particular thing, it helps you as well. Or if you want to just write a wish for your friend in Czech language, then it helps also with that. So I'm actually working on the differences between the languages that are used in the chat. So, for example, if big languages as English, of course, if the results are better than, for example, Czech. And I actually saw that a few words actually that in Czech were not really the greatest one to use in that particular context. And then also see how it can change then the future is. So I was thinking about some consequences about this chat, because, for example, what about the job of the teachers and professors? Will it change in the future because of this chat? Will students be more interested in studying languages or not really, because they know that there is this chat available, and so that it's easier for them just to put, okay, translate this into another language. So
there's a lot to unpack there, right? Because we're looking at education, we're looking at jobs as well. Mm-hmm. So before we get into the specifics there, just for the listeners who might not know what Chat GPT is, you described it quite well. But Chat GPT is an NLP model, right? Do you know what the differences are between Chat GPT and some of the other NLP models out there?
Well, to be honest, not
NLP
really. I started immediately with Chat GPT. Okay. So the difference right now is that, for example, it's for free, that it works with different languages, that it's user-friendly. It's very easy to understand it. So, for example, I mean, also regarding this research that I'm doing, I'm not into the software part, into the programmation, because I've never studied that kind of things. I've always studied languages, education, cultures, interpreting. So there is this part of people who are studying how it works from the software point of view. And then there is me, who's more into the ethical part, moral education, translating, and that part.
But the difference actually ties into the language, because one of the things about Chat GPT compared to the other NLP models is that it's highly customizable, right? Mm-hmm. And it's meets like specific needs of that person, and you can change the way it talks to you, which of course means that it starts to mimic human behavior, mm-hmm. right? Now, when we're talking about mimicking human behavior, what do you think some of the pros and cons are? I have some of my own ideas, but what do you think some of the pros and cons are specific to the idea of mimicking human behavior?
Mm. Well, I can think that, well, considering the human behavior, a human is not always a good person, you know? So it may change drastically if something bad happens. So it can, I mean, people do not use the Chat GPT, do not use Google, for example, just for question, just for good intentions. So they can somehow also look for something bad that can then have consequences on society. What I saw is that, for example, in Chat GPT, if you try to look for some, I was looking for some Mussolini or Hitler propaganda, and
Yeah.
it stopped me in my research because I'm sorry, I can't do this. I can't help you with this research. But there are people who are trying, you know, to avoid this kind of questions. So they're trying to ask the chat to work differently to arrive to, for example, that kind of propaganda, that kind of bad things, you know. So I think that the fact that it becomes more and more as a human being can have also this kind of problems that it's not just good. It can also have the bad part.
Definitely. And are you familiar with Brett Weinstein? Um,
The bread, not really, no.
no.
What
Okay.
is
Well,
it?
well, we don't have to get into it too much right now, but the main thing is that he advocates for metamorphosis architecture,
Mm-hmm.
which is the idea, like let's say Chat GDP 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, once it's able to truly mimic human behavior, that it's unable to take on take on a human, right? Like it
Mm-hmm.
at a very extreme side, they talk about like what's that movie? Something Machina with the girl who she's a robot,
Mm-hmm.
but she ends up playing on the human behavior of the guy, and you end up really like sympathizing with her, and you feel bad for what's happening to this woman. But in the end, it just ends up being a horror because you realize that she's soulless, she's emotionless, but she's able to manipulate human behavior. And that's kind of already happening with Chat GDP, right? Because it sounds so human. Um, uh,
It sounds to have a chat with another human because it helps. Also, if there are things that you do not understand, you can just ask, no, make it simpler because I don't get it. And then it simplifies all the things that you ask for. So it really it gets what you want. It actually it is a chat that it understands the word. For example, I was trying also finish the sentence, you know, and I put something um tonight I'm going to, and then okay, I left it in order to, you know, for the chat to fill in the gap, and the chat understood that I was looking for something to do during the night. So the chat didn't put, for example, I'm going to work, or I'm going to, no, I'm going to the supermarket. No, because it understood that tonight means, okay, tonight I'm going to sleep probably, or that I'm going to have a walk and look at the stars. So it understood that stars refers to the night. You know, that the two things are actually related. It's not just putting the words together, but it understood what I wanted. That during the night there are stars. During the night it's quiet. It's quiet.
Definitely. And almost, and sometimes it's even more intense than that. Like I've asked it to create a text, and it was quite obscure because it's a premise that I'm working on for a story, and it's like a satire about bureaucracy set in the afterlife. And I asked it to write a short story, and it was pretty good. And then I asked, can you make it more subversive, right? Which I think is kind of like a difficult thing to do for a human even. And it did it. Like the word usage, some of the topics, I forget the specifics, but all of a sudden it really did start to challenge the status quo. And then I said, make it funnier. And it did, like it understood humor. But then to bring this into education, so I think it's very valuable for students in that case, because I think, well, not I think, I know that we learn better when we have emotional context and an emotional relation to what's going on. So it can do that. Do you think it's positive then in this case, because since it feels so human, it makes it easier to learn? Or
Well, I mean, I graduated in July, so it's not, not time ago. To be honest, as a student, I would not feel that humanity, I think. I would just see how um, how helpful it is as like a software that I can actually use. So if I had to write a text for the day after, for example, I was like, okay, wait a second. So I need to put this and this. Well, okay, I don't have time. Maybe, I would just go and use that. I wouldn't think about, okay, it's from a human point of view. So I think it's a risk. Like all the students that will use the chat, they won't think about the fact that it may have some consequences, or there is this human part. I think they will just use it because it's easier, it's free now, and the results are pretty good. Just okay, there is the part that it's still being trained now. It's like still being studying as a chat. So for example, draw text and works that, well, you really see that's probably it's not what your language. So I mean, as a teacher, for example, if I know my students, I know that every student has a particular style, a particular way of writing.
but it can learn that, and especially in the future, it will, right? It'll start to learn your style.
It can learn. So
Now,
it's risky.
I think it's almost like that with any technology, right? Like some students are going to plagiarize with it, and it's going to be much more difficult to check this type of plagiarism. And of course, that's a big problem in academia. Not even as a student, right? But even afterwards, if you're doing research and you have to write this. And another problem with that is, like today, I asked it to create a summary of, I asked Big Gods how religion transformed cooperation and conflict, because it's not a very popular book, but it's quite interesting. And it found it right away. It gave an excellent summary. And then I asked, can you create a citation for me? And then Chat GPT says, I'm sorry, but I'm unable to provide citations for my summary of Big Gods, How Religion Transformed Cooperation and Conflict. As an AI, I do not have the ability to access or browse external sources of information. My responses are generated based on the knowledge and information that I have been trained on, which is derived from a wide range of sources. But this is very problematic in research, because we have to cite our research. We have to be able to check where it comes from. And of course, a lot of people don't think like that, right? A lot of people already take a lot of news and everything for face value. But with Chat GPT, like we're really expected to take this at face value without being able to check it. And sometimes it's wrong, as you pointed out, right? So how can we fix that problem? Do you have any ideas around that?
That's what I'm thinking about, because also the problem is also that you don't have to responses that are equal. So if I try something here, for example, based in Italy, and if you try something there in Spain, then maybe we have two different answers. And
really, I didn't know.
I think so. I tried once here in Italy and with Ruben in Spain, and we had two different answers. And so you never know what kind of results you will get. So that's a problem, because you need to know, as you said, where the text is from, but the result, is so good that actually we are just focusing on, okay, the result is pretty good, but what's behind that result, like we are still trying to research, trying to analyze what's behind all these results. So for example, the sources, for example, so how we're going to work with teacher and with students. Do we need to inform them about this new way of learning? How will they work with this? Because as I said, you never know if a person use, for example, a simple dictionary in a good way or not. So, and this is the same case. So it's something new, but at the same time so powerful that
yeah,
not really.
I hope they figure out a way to include the citations so we can cross-reference the information that we're getting. But
yeah.
And then the other thing, but the good side is that there are no advertisements. Well, good for people, maybe not good for Google's business structure. What do you think about that? Do you think it's going to disrupt Google's business model?
It can, but I think Google is already working on it. I had this idea that they are already working on, okay, what we're going to do with that. It's also true that, on Google, you can also have links that go to another page, with ChatGPT, you just have that answer. So you have to stick to that answer. You can't really click and then go search something else because maybe, okay, you were looking for that thing, but then, say, okay, maybe this can be interesting as well. Let me see, Google, let me see what kind of answer I can add, for example, to what I'm looking for. On the ChatGPT, it's, you don't have the ads. So that's good because you just have the answer you were looking for, but then you don't have the possibility to add something to your answer. But I think Google is already working on it. They're not saying it because it's still in the process, but
not adding the ads as well is just, it's such a good thing for productivity. Well, as one thing, you just get the answer faster, but also you just don't have as many distractions. Which, to tie it into education, I think it's a good thing. Like as a teacher, I would promote that because it's like, okay, you have to research something and you're not going to get distracted by all these ads. You're not going to get distracted by all these pictures or this clickbait. So it might end up being really good for productivity.
For activity, I agree with you because you don't have distractions. You don't have all the first, results that are just ads and ads. You just stick to the point. From a point of view of, okay, Google can maybe add something more because, as I said, there is a possibility to, click and then see other answers. With the chat, well, you are clear with the chat. You wanted to look for this and it gave you this. Okay, so that's true. You don't have the possibility to add something, to continue with the research.
And now your research as well, you were asking about how it affects teachers. So, well, I work as a teacher, but first I want to know what you think. Do you think this is going to negatively impact teaching careers, or do you think it'll have, or it'll just be a good tool?
I think that the key point is to make it a good tool for the teachers. I think now teachers can be a bit scared of this. And students are the ones super excited because, oh yeah, it's a new way of working. I can have this homework done in 5 minutes. So I think there's this gap right now that the students are super excited, whereas the teachers are not really. But I think that the turning point will be when the teachers will understand how to use in a good way these tools with the students as well.
Yeah. So I actually did it today because I knew we were going to talk about this. And well, I was pretending. Well, I am a student as well in a way, right? I'm studying Spanish, so I told the Chat GPT to make a question for me about Spanish subjunctive. I said, well, first I said, can you explain the Spanish subjunctive to me? And it gave me a very good summary, very good list of rules. And then I said, can you create a question that I can answer? And then afterwards, you tell me if I'm right or wrong. And it didn't understand. At first, just asked me questions that were in the subjunctive. right? So and then it explained why this question is in the subjunctive. And I said, no, you're not understanding me. I want you to ask me a question. And I was actually switching back between writing in Spanish and writing in English. And then finally it understood, and it asked me multiple choice questions. So, and it wasn't great, like it was okay, but it was correct, I think, because it was Spanish, but I'm pretty sure it was correct. And it just made me realize as a teacher, again, it's a tool. I can use this to generate questions and help me think of questions that I can use for my students. So again, it's like a tool that just makes work go faster, in my opinion, because you still need to be knowledgeable about what to ask, right? Like I had to know what the subjunctive is. You still have to know the language, and then from there, you can create the questions. It's kind of the same with Dall-E. Have you used the Dall-E?
Yes,
part of it?
Dall-E. For the pictures.
What is Dall-E? Could you explain it?
The Dall-E is also the artificial intelligence which works with images. So if you ask, for example, I want to see a picture of a dog in the park. It's actually artificial intelligence that creates, so like those pictures do not exist. The one that you see in the result is just the artificial intelligence that put together what you were looking for, and just put together everything you were looking for in a picture. So, or for example, also like people that I want to see, I don't know, ginger head girl, for example. So you won't find a picture of me because I exist, but then the Dall-E will create a new picture. Yeah.
Which, of course, your mind immediately jumps to, this is going to be bad for graphic designers. But then I tried it the other day, and it created an image, and there were some faults with it. And then afterwards, my partner, she was able to fix it up a little bit, right? So if anything, it just made the job of a graphic designer go a little bit faster. And that's how I also feel as a writer with Chat GPT. Like I said, with the summary of the story and everything, I didn't have this sense of fear where it was like, oh no, I'm going to lose my job as a writer, because I still have to come up with the ideas and the premise, and then Chat GPT just helps me develop it, just like if I was working with a human partner. So like for me, it doesn't give me too much fear. Like I really just see it as a tool, and just to make life a little bit easier. But of course, it could go the other way.
Yeah. I have a question for you too, because I was talking to Ruben about this, and his idea was that in the future, a lot of jobs, for example, graphic designers, and teachers, will not exist anymore because, for example, one application can do the jobs for all of this. So then different jobs will just be done by one software in that case. Do you think is this the case, or you think that these people will still be need to adjust some of the mistakes of this platform?
That's the thing. I think we'll still need people to kind of cross-reference with it, because like as with ChatGPT, like you get a result, and if you don't really like it, you can just say, do this. But you still need the human to say, like, can you change it and tweak it in this way? Okay, well, since I work as a writer as well, that's what I know the most about and what I think the most about. And I think it'll be fine for developing big works like a screenplay or a novel or something like that, because you might just have like a problem in your act, right? Like, okay, so I have this inciting incident. Can you help me come up with a good refusal to the call or something like that? You follow the structure, and you have to have the knowledge of your craft to actually be asking the right questions. So the same with Dall-E. Like I'm not an artist, but I know a little bit, and I realized once I showed Dall-E that I know the movements, like, oh, can you make a surrealist painting but in the style of the Dadaists, right? And then it does it. But I still, as a human, am doing my job in a way, right? Like I'm using what I know, and I'm still coming up with the ideas, and then I'm tweaking it. So I don't know. I think it might take away jobs for like maybe some marketing purposes, like shorter text, when it's like, Can you create a clickbait title? Or can you summarize this for a BuzzFeed article? You know, like, no offense to like BuzzFeed articles and stuff, like these like simpler texts, right? I think maybe it might take jobs away from that.
But people will still be, I mean, I agree with you. That's what I said to him. Like, for me, no, people will still be used for this, because you still need a human being to adjust a bit, the results. But for example, regarding the movie or the story, I read, for example, an article that people asked to create a plot for a movie. That's a movie that does not exist yet. But the results in the Chat GPT results to be a bit too obvious, like, the typical love story in a bad environment, something like that. So it doesn't seem to have great ideas. Came up with something new. Maybe it's not trained yet, so
it's not trained yet. And I mean, the average, if it's getting most of the data for like a movie script, the average movie, like a Hollywood movie, is so formulaic, right? Like it really just follows the hero's journey. And I mean, if you watch the average American movie, predict what's gonna happen. Average American Hollywood blockbuster, not indie movies, of course. But then I think it'll be able to train with that too. Like you could say, make sure that this doesn't follow the hero's journey. Make sure that it plays with this convention. And then I think slowly it'll develop away from that kind of generic script. But
but do you think it's something that will happen soon, like in a near future?
Seems like it. Like, I mean, I think it's already incredible what it can do. And you can just see how quick it could happen. From how it feels to me, I think it's going to be in 5 years. We're going to be shocked with how much this has changed our lives. And then we're talking about efficiency a lot, right? This makes me think about the 4-hour work week, or is it 4-hour work day or 4-hour work week?
I think day, right? 4 days. Day. Yeah. 1 free.
Okay. Right. So the idea that with all this technology, we could work a lot less. What do you think? Do you think that is possible? First, it's on a theoretical level. Do you think it would be possible? And then maybe on a practical level, maybe it would work in some countries, it wouldn't work in other countries. Depends on the culture.
Well, if we follow the idea that human being is still needed to adjust all the mistakes, all the results, then, well, it won't change the way we work, if you think about it. I mean, we can just decide, okay, we're going to work just 4 days, and then on Friday we're going to have a day off because maybe the machine needs some updates, need to not to be used for 1 day. That maybe it will change just because, as I said, it needs once a week to be updated, But then for the rest of the days during the week, I think like a human being will normally work with help, of course, of this Chat GPT, of this machine. But then, I mean, if we stick to the idea that, okay, a human being behind this machine, behind this software is still needed, then I think people will still work. And depending on the countries, well, yes and no, because the chat can be used from everywhere. So every country can already start to adjust to this new application. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends a little bit on the culture. Like, this is kind of a controversial statement, but I've lived in Spain long enough now, and I think if you put the same company in Spain and then put the exact same company, exact same idea in, let's say, Finland or Norway, it's going to go so much more efficiently in Finland or Norway, and they're going to do the exact same amount of work in half the amount of time, you know? So I think it depends how you use these tools and what kind of work culture you have.
That's true.
Yeah, but it's complicated. Like, it also makes me think back then to having like a universal base pay, right? Because if machines are able to do so much, like not everyone can be an engineer, because of course, the bigger AI gets, the more engineering jobs there are going to be, because there's always going to be bug fixes. There's always going to be something that these engineers have to do. And yes, ChatGPT is already really good in coding and everything, but you still need an engineer to be doing that, like together with the system and then fixing the bugs within the system. But then there's like the other jobs that might go obsolete. What are we going to do for them? Should we have a universal base pay? And I think these ideas have existed long before AI, and they've been tested out. In some cases kind of have worked, some cases haven't. So I think it's just going to make that more complicated as well.
Because in that case, for example, as we said, maybe for some marketers, well, they won't be able to work anymore, because if ChatGPT is so good in short texts, but then maybe so less work, less job positions for marketers, but more job position for engineering,
which makes it weird with the 4-hour workday, because how would that, like, okay, now maybe the marketers only need to work 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
But the engineers still need to work maybe 40 hours to solve everything, right? So then is it fair that there's this base income, and like maybe then engineers deserve to get pay way more than everyone else in society, and then it creates like this inequality between engineers and everyone else?
No, because now marketers can be paid also sometimes even more than engineers, but then it can happen, yeah, as you said, there will be this difference.
Yeah. But that maybe that's the ugly side of it as well, because people who deserve to be getting paid a lot, right? Like engineers, doctors, maybe AI will make their jobs a little bit easier. And then who are we going to value still? It's like celebrities, influencers. And maybe it's just going to make that even more tilted than it is now, where like all these jobs that AI can do is going to make the pay scale a lot lower for them. And then celebrities and everyone, where it's, like a celebrity doesn't do much. Sometimes they do shit all, right? But they get so much money and so much attention because they are able to sell a product. And maybe it'll just be even more of that, and we'll just live in like an influencer's hell.
No. I also have another question regarding the ChatGPT for you, because well, the big languages, let's say, exist already in the chat, but there are a few languages that are still not present, that still do not exist in the chat. Do you think, because it's not well spread then globally, this chat right now, because if I actually want to write something in that language, okay, I can't. So what can I do? Do you think this can have some consequences, ethical consequences, or they are still working on it, or do you think it's just a matter of time?
To me, it seems like a matter of time. Like right now, it seems like there are ethical consequences with it, right? Because that is super problematic, that let's say an English speaker, a Spanish speaker, they're able to get the correct answers. And then someone who doesn't have access to those languages, they get like an incorrect response or something, which creates an even larger divide between people who are educated in these main languages and people who aren't. I mean, we already have that problem now, and I think it would make it bigger. But then on the flip side, it's so good at teaching languages. If it has more information, it might help to keep some of those languages alive. Like imagine if Duolingo's worked together with Chat GPT and created something with that could really help a lot of the minor languages that are disappearing. So
sure.
What do you think? Do you think they're going to make sure to put more information into it from other languages, or would they just focus?
I think so, because I think, well, now that it is free, we are somehow helping the researchers to make the ChatGPT becoming better and better. Like if you notice, there is the thumbs up that you can click if you like the. So I think before create a new language, they need to be sure that that answer is good, so they can directly translate, they can directly think about that answer, that good answer that's a lot of people click on it saying that, yeah, this is a good result, then they will directly insert then the other language. So I think it's being trained now with the big languages, but then I think, yeah, the needs to have this kind of chat, this kind of software for the people, I think it will arrive to this kind of languages, minor languages as well. So it's just a matter of time, because we are training it as well. If you click like, then okay, the system, the artificial intelligence knows that, oh, okay, that's a good answer. So for maybe someone else in another country looks for the same answer, so I can use this kind of answers as well in that case, and so on.
Yeah. Now, another thing with the ethics and the moral side of it. Okay, no. So I asked ChatGPT, is abortion morally wrong? Just to see what it would answer, like for a moral question. And it gave a very objective response, right? It said that for some people, for some communities, for some religions, it's not accepted in those communities. Other people understand that it's up to the individual, and that was the last line. Like, it gave the perspectives of both sides, like pro-lifers and pro-choice, and then at the end it said, in the end, it's up to the individual, which I think is an objective, great response. But it is actually a Western point of view, because if we look at like the three different, I think it's Schwader's big three, you've got morality of autonomy, which is what we kind of use in the West, where it really focuses on the individual, like, does it harm the individual? Then you have community, and then that's when you think about morals, like, okay, it's not up to the individual, but what is the best for the community? And then you have divinity, like, would God frown upon it, or something like that. And of course, in some cultures, the ethic of divinity, ethic of community are much stronger than in the West with the ethic of autonomy. So then I wrote all that in the ChatGPT, and I said, by answering with the individual, you're actually taking a Western perspective. And then it said, like, blah, 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 no, I'm being objective. And then I said, well, where are your developers from? Then it mentioned San Francisco, and I said, well, do you make sure that your developers are from all over the world? And it said yes. So that's another thing to think about. Like, it's supposed to be objective, but of course, if it's getting mostly information from a certain culture, it's going to answer in that cultural way.
But that's an interesting point of view, because I was actually talking with a friend of mine. She was writing her thesis on this, and well, she had to study this case study that actually like how to use artificial intelligence in, for example, environmental disasters, then it helps the artificial intelligence to tell, yeah, you need to do this in order to save more people, in order to avoid that tree to fall down, for example, But then there is this moral ethical problem, because, for example, for Asia, okay, who are the most important people to save? Well, first, older people, because those have the knowledge, those have the experience of the life. Then in Africa, for example, the most important people are, well, the men of the family, because they work, they bring money to, for Europe, female and women and children are the most important to save, because women and children, that those creators, okay, are in the community to say, like, and to contribute for the rest of the community. So there is this gap that's, okay, but how do we decide? I mean, it depends on which part of the world you are. You decide who to say. So, for example, artificial intelligence in Asia, in case of an environmental disaster, it will save other people than here in Europe. And how to deal with this? How to deal with this difference? So,
I guess government bodies will have to be involved, right? Because if it's up to a private company, then you might just all of a sudden get this homogenous homogenized world. So maybe it'll have to adapt from country to country.
So also in this case, human being is needed to solve the problem.
Yeah. Well, so that actually might create jobs too, right? Not only for engineers, but people like us maybe are thinking more about language and culture and ethics and philosophy. Okay, how can we adjust the algorithm to best suit this culture? That'd actually be fascinating.
Sure. So I think from one side it can it can be a bad thing, for some job position using this artificial intelligence, and then, as we said, from other point of view, it may add new job position, something really particular that needs to be done for this artificial intelligence. So let's see, but it's something that will happen probably very soon. I agree on that.
I think so too. All right, Monica, do you have any other questions related to this for me, or anything else you wanted to mention about Chat GPT or the artificial intelligence, or do you want to bring it into a different direction?
No, I think it's okay. I think we talked almost 1 hour.
This is all I have on it right now. Maybe in the future, and listeners, of course, I'm going to write an article about this as well. So you can go to withoutborders.fyi to join in on the conversation. I'm trying to create a community there of nomads and expats and anyone else that feels inescapably foreign. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you are an English learner, you could also access the transcript there. And then maybe you can put my transcript into Chat GDP and it'll correct some of the more mistakes.
It will be interesting for example, to have another chat in a couple of months, years, and let's see how
much it advanced.
See how it changed.
Definitely. So Monica, I still don't know much about you. So let's hear a little bit more about your immigration story. So you grew up in Italy.
Yes.
Half your family is from Czech Republic, but you never lived in the Czech.
I lived just 1 year. I was working after my bachelor degree, and before my master degree, I decided to have this gap year and work. So I went to work to Czech Republic because I'd always spent time in Czech Republic just for holidays. The typical holiday with my family during Christmas, during summer. But I would never really live there. So because I grew up in Italy for 19 years, because at 19 years old, I went to Switzerland for studies. So I said, no, you know what? I want to also see the other part of me, the other side of my personality, and see how the Czech culture is, if I can see myself.
So I'm interested in that. What part of your personality feels Czech, and what part of your personality feels Italian?
Well, I love beer, so that is completely Czech. I'm not really into wine. I'm not such a wine person. But to be honest, I feel more Italian than Czech. I really see these differences now that I live there. That I'm an open-minded person. I'm very smiley. I like staying in contact with people. This is more something typical Italian than Czech. Czech people, well, if you ask someone who wants to Czech, they will probably tell you that they're not really friendly because they don't have this typical style of we have in the south of Italy. Yeah, let's come to eat, no problem. Let's add a chair, come to eat at our place. In Czech Republic, there is not really this culture. Everyone is more serious, more not really that friendly. I mean, the thing is, the problem is also that for me, it's different, and I will explain you why. Because I speak the language. So for me, going there, and if I have to express and say something, they will, oh, you speak Czech? Okay, sure. So I will tell you, I will help you. When there is a tourist that goes there and needs help, obviously the tourist speaks in English or in German or, other language. And so they're not that kind of open to help everyone. So of course, they answer you. Okay. But for me, this kind of experience is different because I speak Czech, obviously. So when I always speak Czech, I never speak English, So.
Yeah. I got a question for you because it kind of ties into, you said you're a more smiley person that's with your Italian side. um, but if you would say this is who values life and pleasure more, Italians or people from the Czech Republic?
Italians. Italians.
Right?
Italians.
So, but what's interesting about that is I just made up that question for you, but they did a similar one for some research, and they said who values enjoying life and pleasure more, East Germans or Italians, right? And of course, everyone thinks the answer right away, Italians. But it turns out that East Germans scored the third highest of all the countries on the dimension, while Italians scored the lowest. And the idea behind this is the deprivation effect. Like, to make sense of it, it's like if you consider what people actually have compared to what they would like to have, right? So in Italy, you have this lifestyle of, sitting on the patios, spending 2 hours for lunch, enjoying life. Whereas in East Germany, you didn't have, it's cold, you can't sit on the patio all year and things like that. So because they're deprived of it, they say that they value it more.
Makes sense.
Which is interesting when you think about your own values or your culture's values, right? Sometimes what you say doesn't actually reflect the behavior or the people themselves. But do you feel like Czech people are less friendly? I've always had a good experience, and whenever people go to Prague, at least I always hear incredible feedback.
Yes, I mean, if you look at the people in Prague, and I went there in December before Christmas to see friends and family, and actually said, okay, wait a second, I'm gonna look at Czech people walking, for example, in the city. They were not smiling, for example. They were just, so I was like, I mean, I like Czech Republic, okay? It sounds now that that I don't really like it, but no, I like Czech Republic. I like Prague because Prague is a very nice city. Of course, if you go outside Prague, it's okay. There are just little cities, so it's different. But I mean, I've always always heard about people going there and that the Czech people were not people in Prague were not that friendly. So
does your family there ever comment for you since you smile a lot? Because I've heard that response too sometimes, when like a very bubbly person goes, well, it wasn't Czech. I think they were talking about Russian actually. And the Russian just looks at the person like, what the fuck's wrong with your face? It's like, it's called a smile. But does your family ever comment that you're like, why is she so bubbly? Or
no, not,
no,
no comment of that.
Okay.
No, but
now, well, I know we don't know each other too well yet, but Ruben let me know that you love Spain, right? So, how do you feel that Spanish people and Italian people are different or similar? Like, was there anything that you had to do to adapt to the Spanish culture, or do you feel like it just had a very similar, Southern Mediterranean feel? Or
well, I had to adapt to the different meal time. Let's say that's good for me. I normally eat around 1, and they eat, at 3, and the dinner the same thing. Like they eat around 10:30 something. And I'm not really used to that. So first thing I had to adapt.
But you like beer. Are you happy about the fact that you can drink beer in the morning here in Spain?
What?
Stay away from.
Yeah, I try to stay away from the morning beer. But I think this fact of the different hour when we eat in Italy and in Spain, I feel it a lot because of the difference with the Czech Republic as well. Like because in Czech Republic, we have dinner around 6 p.m. probably, But why? Because during the winter at 4 p.m. it's already dark in Czech Republic. So what can you do? Well, you just eat, So that the difference, I think I feel more the difference in Spain because I had also this experience in Czech Republic. And then other things in Spain, we like the hot weather. So we like when it's sunny, when it's, those kind of days.
Oh, because you're from the north of Italy, right?
Yes. And it's this thing that I really suffer a lot, the weather. So when it's cloudy, for example, foggy, I don't know. I have another kind of personality in those days.
Now, this is something I'm kind of curious about. I just thought of it, but of course, there are some frictions with Southern Italians and Northern Italians, right? And in Spain, there are some frictions. Well, not between the south and the north of Spain, just frictions between like every.
I know.
But do you feel as like the Northern Italian that you have more things in common with Southern Italians, or do you feel like you have more things in common with the kind of like more Northern Spaniards?
Whoa.
Like we're in Castillon, so we're kind of just right in the middle.
Yeah.
We're not really, I guess we're a little bit more, just right in the middle.
I've never thought about that.
Okay.
That's a good question. Hi. Okay, let's look at the differences. Maybe you can help with the Spanish one. So in Italy, well, the north is normally seen as the place where there is more work. So people come from the south to the north for having work.
And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, work faster. And then people from the north go to the south for holidays because there is good sea, good beaches, and food. And, like during the holidays, people go to the south of Italy. And during the rest of the year, people go to the north for work. That's like, the big. In Spain, so in Spain, well, for example, people from Madrid, I guess they go to the beach as well, to Valencia and that part, right? So the difference you meant is more in every comunidad, right? In every...
Yeah, I think it's because to me it feels like from what I know in Italy, there's just more of a divide between the south and the north, and in Spain, I think it's a little bit more difficult to do that. Like it's just there's so many divisions sometimes right next to each other, right? Like Valencia and then Catalonia. There's really different views politically and some different things.
Yeah, there is not that cut as in Italy, for example. Spain, well, doing this work of differences in Spain, I think it's more hard than in Italy, because Italy, as you said, north and south. In Spain,
yeah, it's harder. Well, let's bring it in a different direction then for you to adapt. What about food? Do you think the food is okay here in Spain, or do you think it's better than in Italy, or way?
But I think there is, here in Italy we have more variety of food, I think, than in Spain. Then without talking about Czech Republic, because that is also another thing. Because well, in Spain, I like Spanish food. I cannot say that I don't like Spanish food, but I miss the pasta and the pizza sometimes. Like, here we eat pasta and pizza. Like pizza more or less, but pasta at least once a day. We eat pizza here. And I think that is something similar for Spanish people with eggs, with tortilla. I think that for breakfast is pretty normal to have tortilla, right? In Spain. Yeah. So I prefer Italian food for this because there is more variety. But it's another way, I think, of thinking about food. If you think about tapas, here we have the aperitivo, which is the same idea. Okay, having something to drink and something to eat before dinner. And in Spain as well, with the tapas, something to drink, something to eat. For example, this does not exist in Czech Republic, but because Czech Republic, historically didn't have access to so many food as we had, for example. So they have a lot of meat, they have a lot of potatoes. For example, potatoes are basically the only vegetable that they use in Czech Republic. But just for historical point of view, and also because of the weather. Like if you think about when there is, I went to Czech Republic in December, and there were minus 12 degrees Celsius. So what kind of vegetables can you have with minus 12 degrees? It's not possible. You can just have carrots and potatoes, basically. So,
But here in Spain, I think also there's more variety with the food in the north. Like if you go to
I've never been there.
there, I would say.
So you tell me.
Okay, well there I would say like okay. Well, a lot of Spanish people will say like, oh, it almost seems that they're jealous of the Italian reputation. Like I've heard a lot of Spanish people get pissed off when people say like, oh, Italian food is much better. And then they usually say like, oh, but they just don't know Spanish food. And I usually just shut up at that point because I don't want to get into an argument. But in the Basque country, I do think it's on par with Italy. Also, like there's just more variety and more experiment.
You know, the thing that I thought is probably there is more similarity between fish in Spain, the amount of fish that they eat, and the south of Italy. If you think about my city, Torino, it's from the north, so we have more meat than sea. We don't have the seaside here. So if you go to the south of Italy, fish, well, once a day they eat fish probably, as Spanish people. Here in the north, we have more meat than fish. So I think there is a little bit more of similarity with the south of Italy and Spain.
Yeah.
But I've never been to the north of Spain, so I had to.
Oh, you have
to go.
You have to go. San Sebastian is incredible as well for
Well, a lot of big beaches, right? That's the place of the beaches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Monica, just to bring it in a little different direction, I ask everyone this on the show that's multilingual, and everyone gives some different responses. I always find it interesting. It's how do you feel like your identity and your personality has changed or develops with the different languages that you speak? Like, do you feel like you have a different side of yourself that you're able to express more, let's say in Italian or in Spanish or English or Czech?
Well, let's start from the fact that I feel more Italian, just due to the fact that I grew up in Italy. Now but it's true that when I was a child, I started to speak a bit later than other children, because my brain was trying to understand which language was Czech and which language was Italian, because my mom was speaking just Czech with me and my dad just Italian with me. And so I had to split the two languages and learn, okay, this word is in Czech, this word is in Italian. But then, going to the school here in Italy, I grew up feeling more Italian than Czech. So I think from the inside, from my perspective, it's hard to say this, but sorry, tell me.
I was just gonna, like more so just when you speak the language now, right? Like not how you feel as a general as a person, but let's say when you switch over to Czech, when you switch over to English, do you start to notice that you behave in a different way? Like, okay, for instance, my friend and I were talking about this. His wife speaks French and English. He does as well, and he mentioned that he noticed that his wife is quicker to complain when she speaks French, and it's just like, and he just noticed it's almost a cultural thing. And I notice it as well now in Spanish. Like, I think I complain a bit more in Spanish than I do in English, because it's just more of a cultural thing. Like, here people, they just get together and they kind of complain. It's like that, but the small talk, right? Like complaining about work and things, and so things like that, where you might just notice like, oh, in English I talk more about this, in Czech I talk more about
But in Czech, it's true that in Czech, when I talk in Czech, I'm more serious. I'm not that happy. I don't know, my voice as well is not that high. It's not that, I'm more serious. But when
so more Czech as well, really.
It's more Czech. But for example, I use my hands a lot when I speak, and that's a super Italian thing. And when I speak in Czech, I often use my hands as well. And for example, a friend of mine that I met this girl in Madrid when I was doing my exchange there. So I was living in Madrid. I didn't have this kind of influence of my hands, moving all the time when I'm talking. And so that she didn't notice this fact about me. But then we met again in Prague, in Czech Republic, after 2 years and a half that I was living here in Italy. And she said, "Oh, you look much more Italian right now because you move your hands a lot, and also the way of talking." I was of course speaking Czech with her, but the pronunciation was much more stronger because in Italian we have the r, so in English we tend to pronounce everything, so we have very strong pronunciation, and I was sometimes using that kind of pronunciation in Czech as well. So she noticed that.
Now, what about emotionally? Do you feel like you're more hot-tempered in Italian than in Czech or in English?
Really? Oh well, in Italian, I think. Yeah, it's always Italian. Well, it also depends where I'm living, because it happened to me. For example, when I was living in Switzerland, I lived in Switzerland for 2 years and something. I changed a bit there. Like, I didn't feel so much Italian there. I was also dreaming in French, for example. Now that I'm in Italy, I would say Italian, definitely. Like, now I really feel the fact of that. Everything at the end goes back to the fact that I'm Italian.
Okay.
So, but what about you, for example?
Well, for me, as I said with the Spanish, and I don't know, like maybe I complain a little bit more, but I also just feel dumber, right? Because I have to search for the correct words. It's just a little bit more difficult to express exactly what I want. But then with Flemish, I just feel a little bit more childlike, because I just associate it with the language that I speak with my family and what I spoke as a kid more often. So like, let's say talking about like sex or something like that, it feels a little bit weird to me in Flemish, whereas like in English and Spanish, it's fine.
But from
a
linguistic point of view, so you feel more comfortable definitely in English when you have to in English.
Oh yeah,
than
of course,
than Spanish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Same for me. Italian and Czech, and I think coming back to the question about the personality, I think that it's related to how comfortable I feel in the country with the language. So I think it's also related. Like when I go to Czech Republic, I feel comfortable because I speak the language, but not till that point of how I feel comfortable here in Italy, because in my case, I've never studied the Czech grammar. I've never been to a Czech school. So if I have to talk normal things, of course, I can talk with you. But then if I have to talk to say something more difficult regarding, politics or going to the hospital, for some illness or something, it's hard. And because I don't feel in that particular situation so comfortable, because I don't get all the words. Maybe I don't know how to express myself in a good way. So I think it's related to, okay, I feel comfortable in this country, but with this language as well.
Okay. Now, what about humor-wise? How would you describe the different humor between Czech, Italy, Spain, and which humor do you like the most?
From Italian.
Okay, so how would you describe Italian?
Italian humor. It's it's easier not just from a linguistic point of view, because I get everything. So if there is something that makes me laugh because I get that word, but also with the hands. So you don't actually need to, for example, say something particular. You just do a sign with your hand, and that's okay. That's something. That means something. And so for the humor, like for example, in Spain or in Czech Republic, you really need to express yourself in order to the other person to get the humor you're expressing. In Italy, no, you don't have to. So there are plenty of things that, you just Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
So,
Now, between Spain, Czech, and Italy, which one do you think is most similar to like British humor? Like, are any of them a little bit more dry and sarcastic and kind of delivered? Yeah, just more dry, right? Like kind of the opposite of what you're. So obviously
not Italian.
right? Because
Not
obviously
Italian.
not.
More dry, more. Wow, that's hard.
So
I don't think Czech. I don't think really Czech.
no. Well, what about harsh jokes? Because I noticed sometimes, well, not so much anymore, but at the beginning, I would tell some jokes here. The response I'd always get is like, "Que fuerte, tío!" Like that's pretty rough, right? But in like British humor, that's just what you do, or even Canadians, like we just kind of make fun of each other the whole time when you're with a group of friends, right? But here in Spain, I find you could do it too with some. It obviously depends on the person and depends on the individual. But I think on average, it's a little bit less acceptable to make like a really dark joke.
Okay. Let's. Because okay, I've never tried that kind of jokes in Spain, neither in Czech Republic.
What about in Italy? Can the humor get pretty dark in Italy, or is it more like really just like body language type?
It can become a bit dark, yeah, but
yeah,
not that much because we have still that point of using, as I said, the hands. You know, that's the humor. That's the average of humor. If you go a bit more into the dark humor, well, obviously it depends on every person. So there are people who like that, people who do not like it. But I think
yeah, of course.
So in Spain, you think that you need to pay attention to what you say, how you express. And
not really. Of course, it depends who I'm with and the individual. But I'm just kind of just looking at the general feelings of the type of humor, right? Like I find if you can make someone laugh in a language, that's when you start to show mastery of the language, right? Because you understand not only the words, but you also understand the culture around it, right? Like there's just certain expressions that I just love in Spanish, and I can just they're so funny. And then you do it in English, and it just doesn't really come across the same way. You know.
But if I think we're about there, I do not have any kind of jokes that I do here in Italy that I can do, for example, in Czech Republic.
What about sayings? Are there any like modismos or idioms in Italian that you really miss? Because we're almost coming up. We're over an hour here, so just to wrap it up, I kind of want to know some of the things you miss in Italy word wise. Is there a word or an expression that really like I love this? Or if nothing comes to mind, maybe an expression in Spanish that makes you so excited about living here. Like for me in Spanish, one I really love is like if you're broke, no tengo ni mierda en las tripas, right? Like I don't even have shit in my in my intestines. Which is like English, it sounds kind of funny, but in Spanish it just sounds.
Oh, and the one I like, for example, in Spanish is "me has tocado la patata." Con lo que has dicho, me has tocado la patata. I mean, they really like it's touched me. Like what you said, it really touched me. You know, like but you cannot translate it to Czech or Italian.
Okay, so I think the one you just used and the expression I used, those are so Spanish. Like it really captures the culture in a way, right? So what is a saying in Italian that you really feel like captures the culture?
A saying. Wait a second. It's not really a saying. It's a word that we use, for example, after lunch, that you feel, tired because you just ate, so you just want to sit on the couch and doing nothing. It's la pennichella. La pennichella is that moment, like that. Pennichella. But there is no way of translating in Czech or Italian. It's just how you feel that sense of, I don't want to talk. I don't want to just focus on something. I just want to stay here and wait for my body to, have the energy again because I just eat. And there is no way to translate it. I mean, because if you say, nah, I'm not ready now to work, I need to rest, or la siesta, it's not really la siesta, because la siesta is the break you have. Okay, you just relax. La pennichella, I think it really gives you the idea that you just eat, you need to rest, you need like no stress at all. La pennichella, that's one. Then I can try to think about other sayings with. Wait, tell me.
Because words are fine too, right? Like another Spanish one I'm thinking about, picaro, which you can't really translate in English. Like it translates to English as rascal, but rascal's more for kids, and picaro is more with adults. Someone that is intelligent in a sly kind of way, maybe avoids taxes.
Yeah, picaro.
Likes a little bit more mischievous side of life. And it's also, again, so Spanish. And I love how, and that's what it ties in with personality. Like when you learn a new language, you learn these new words that give you access to different descriptions. The same in your own language. When you learn a new word, you can better describe something that, you already know. But the second that you have a word for it, you understand your own feeling about it better, right? Like it's there, but then the second you get a word for it, it's like, yes, that's it. And that's the beauty of learning.
Yeah, because it's not just about learning the language. It's about learning then what's behind the language, the culture, though. Yeah, that's true. Exactly. That's what I like about studying languages.
Now, Monica, just to wrap up this episode, because we're coming up on the end here, and just to bring it all together, one thing that I just thought about with the Chat GPT and talking about these words and these idioms, I find Chat GPT so much better than almost any other translation service, at least for with English and Spanish, how many modismos it knows and its knowledge about specific words. Like I asked Chat GPT what a giri is, right? Listeners to the show, if you've listened to some prior episodes, you know that I'm a giri. This pretty much means white ass foreigner, right? And I asked, I wonder if I still have it here. One second.
But I was talking to, sorry.
Yeah, I said "gezum giri." Sorry, I said "gezum giri," and it gave a good explanation about like how it's in Spanish here, but I'll say it in English. Like a tourist that usually speaks English and isn't Latin, right? So, and then I gave my explanation, which is kind of more a funny one, and in English, it's like a giri is someone that puts ketchup on the tortilla, mixes the verbs estar and ser, leaves tips, looks for restaurants that are open between 3 and 8, leaves the club at 10 and cries in City Hall, and orders paella outside of Valencia. And then I asked Chat GPT, what do you think of this response? And it said like, oh, your response is very precise, or is quite precise, and you described many of the characteristics that are common among tourists and expats in Spain, right? So it's like the understanding of the language and the culture is so much better than any translation service, which I think is great for learning languages. What do you think? Let's just wrap it up with that. How do you feel about it? In
I agree. I think it's very good in explaining this particular fact about a language. And I just wanted to, before I forgot about this, but I was talking to other Spanish people now that I was there in Spain, but I don't know why, but the funny part is that they said they do not consider, for example, Italian as giri. And I asked why. I mean, we are not, we were not born in Spain. We come from another country. We do not speak Spanish. And why we're not giri for you?
All right, we had a bit of a technical issue there. Something happened to Monica's sound. So sorry to end the conversation without a conclusion. And Monica did want to say bye and thank all the listeners. And of course, I thank you as well. And if you want to support the show, please go to withoutborders.fyi. I do rely on paid subscriptions to make this all possible. And I would really love to have you all as part of the community, and so we can discuss some of these topics further. All right, thanks for listening.